we're not saying that you're not going to be good, but right now you may not be that good, and you need to get all of the reps that you can get, because we already know that he's going to get time in the NBA. We know that, but he needs to get better. And in order for you to do that, you kind of got to grind a little bit, and you may have to sit crunched up and coach. Maybe you can sit first class, but you're going to have to fly that commercial flight.
Yes, sir. Welcome to another episode of the Fumble. Apparently, it's a whiteout. Look at my sweater, your shirt. We looking real milky, baby. Samaria, Terry, what is the word, sister? How you feeling?
I feel good. I can't believe Thanksgiving is really next week. That's crazy.
Yeah, what's your plan? You doing something with the team? What's happening?
I will be at the game, yes.
Okay. All right. So You're going to have turducken? Have you ever had turducken?
What is turducken, Rodney?
Turducken is when you stuff the chicken into the duck into the turkey, and then you cut it, and then you get chicken, turkey, and duck. You never heard of turducken? For real?
Is that a Jersey thing? What is it?
No, it's an NFL thing. It's like John Madden used to always do it. It's anytime there's a Thanksgiving Day game, they always have turducken. You think I'm lying? I'm so serious.
Let me Google this. I am gonna cook though. I'm gonna cook on Friday.
Well, we don't need your sweet potato casserole or whatever.
I'm not doing no casserole. This is my first time doing Cornish hens, so I'm gonna do 2 Cornish hens. I had to go all around the city to find some collard greens because I guess that's not a big thing here, and mac and cheese.
Okay, now we know why you got the ring. Okay, hunty. Anyway, I'm ready to talk about some sports. We have some amazing topics today and a fire guest as well. You ready?
Yes.
All right, let's do it.
So Ryan Clark had some strong words for Rich Paul, LeBron James, and the Lakers organization after it was reported that Bronny James will only suit up for home games while down in the G-League. Now that report came from ESPN's Brian Windhorst, with Winnie calling Bronny a part-time G-Leaguer down with the South Bay Lakers. Now on his podcast, The Pivot, Ryan Clark asked what has Bronny done to not want to fly commercial and stay at the Courtyard Marriott. He went on to say that if he was Bronny, he would be begging his father and his agent to allow him to play on the road with his team, giving him more opportunities to not only prove it to the Lakers, but to himself. So Rodney, do you agree with Ryan Clark on this one?
There was a lot of validity in what Ryan Clark said. There is something to be said about getting it out of the mud and carving and creating your own lane, right?
Yeah.
Stop. There is also an ideology that exists in our community that we have to struggle. And if we do not struggle, then our success is not valid. And regardless of how Bronny James is starting his career route, we will not know until the end of his career what went right and what went wrong. So if this is a formula, which is a new and unique formula, but this is the formula they think is best for Bronny, then I'm all for it. It is very atypical, but I don't really care. I'm all for trying something new, trying something different. I'm down to see how this turns out. I don't care. I don't mind it. It doesn't bother me too much.
Yeah, I agree with Ryan. And I don't know if it's just because we come from this generation where, like you said, the kids say you got to get it out the mud, right? Like I didn't come from a generation where we got participation trophies. And if you didn't win anything, you didn't go home with anything, right? And so even in my career, I'm looking back on it, I had to struggle when I started. It wasn't a situation where I could jump and go straight to ESPN or go straight to a top 10 market. I had to be in the middle of nowhere, Texas for 2 years where I did everything. I went and shot my own stuff. I edited my own stuff. I produced my own stuff, and I had to go and anchor it in the studio. And that gave me a better respect for, or more gratitude when I got to the top 10, So
let me just ask, because this is something that I hear a lot, right? We talk about interns and people that, well, I didn't get paid when I was an intern, so these cops shouldn't get paid either. Do we really want following generations to experience the same struggles that we did?
No. Because I feel like if it's a situation and I know early in my career, I would look at Malika Andrews, for example, in her rapid rise to success. And I would be like, oh my God, why couldn't that be me? I would pray about it. I'm like, oh my gosh, but she is great at what she does. So nobody says anything about it. If she went straight to hosting NBA Today and we're like, girl, why are you here? Then I think that would be a story, but because she's really good, then it's okay. And I think that that's where I feel like a lot of people are with Bronny. It's like, we're not saying that you're not going to be good, but right now you may not be that good. And you need to get all of the reps that you can get, because we already know that he's going to get time in the NBA. We know that. But he needs to get better. And in order for you to do that, you kind of got to grind a little bit. And you may have to sit crunched up and coach. Maybe you can sit first class. But you're going to have to fly that commercial flight. And you're going to have to stay at the courtyard. We can get some security. But I think it's just better in the long run for him not to just be only playing the home games. Like, I think that continuity with your teammates, like,
the G League is fragmented, right? Players are called up, players are called down, players are swapped out.
mm-hmm.
So the continuity that is cultivated in like on an NBA team is not necessarily so on a G League team. But there is something to be said about going through hard times and hardship with teammates on any level. So I understand that. That's the one thing that I think can be detrimental to this experience is his teammates, being forced to try to integrate him when he is around as if he's been there through all of the hardship. Mm-hmm. So I understand that completely, but I'm all for the Nepo babies benefiting. Like Denzel Washington's son directed a movie starring Denzel Washington. Like that's happening in piano lessons. So I just think, especially if you've worked hard and you've carved out a lane for yourself, for your legacy, for your family's legacy, and you're able to in real time work in conjunction with your child, I think that's fire. And I think that other cultures have been doing it since the beginning of time. And so I will never turn my nose up or go too hard on Bron or anybody who is utilizing nepotism in order to be in an environment with their own child. Because I dream that. My son wants to be in film now. And I'm like, let me figure out how I can streamline your ability to be. I take my son with me on set when I go. So yeah, I'm with it. I understand how for a guy like Ryan Clark, who had to fight and claw his way to where he ultimately got to, how this can be offensive. But we got to remove the idea that because we struggle, so too do other people. The goal for Ryan Clark, I would imagine for his children, is for them to have a smoother, softer ascension in their lives than he did. And that's all LeBron James is doing. So I'm all for it.
Yeah. All right. You all let us know down in the comments. What did you make of what Ryan Clark had to say about Bronny being a part-time G-Leaguer? I'm excited to see what you all got to say about that.
All right, recently I wondered why Juju Watkins wasn't getting the same kind of attention and draw as Caitlin Clark, and many of our Fumble family said it was because her game just was not as exciting. And while that may be true, there is somebody on Juju's team who felt like the world was not knowing Juju well enough, and now we have a 6-part documentary on the way via Peacock. Ironically, on the same day the news of Juju's doc announcement, Ice Cube spoke at length about why he offered Caitlin Clark $10 million to play in the Big Three and not Angel Reese, saying that Caitlin puts butts in the seats and unlocks sponsorship dollars in ways that other people just cannot. Samaria, is there such a thing as making an athlete a superstar, or are fans solely responsible for anointing who they want?
Ooh. I mean, two things could be true, but even if you try to propel a person, if they're not likable or people don't like their game, then they just won't have fans. So I think I'm going to have to go with it's the fans and not somebody, an outside entity propelling a person. I do think that, because I think that even if you, like I said, if you had a player and they have all these sponsorships and they're on commercials and you see them everywhere and they're getting $10 million deals to play in the Big Three, if they're not likable or they don't have a fan base. But it's, I don't know. This is kind of tough because it's like a chicken and an egg, because they need to be seen. And I think, like you mentioned, the Juju Watkins documentary, that's going to be amazing for people to really get to know her, because she is kind of like a quiet athlete.
Yeah. So I think that documentaries are always tricky, right? Because they are so curated and you really get to control the narrative. I don't know what this documentary is going to be like. I don't know how good it's going to be, but I would imagine that Juju's team is going to make sure that she is regarded in the aftermath as she has a clean image coming out of this documentary. In terms of like, can you make an athlete a superstar, or do the fans elect who is a superstar or not? Historically, the NBA and other major sports leagues have always taking the process of they find somebody, right, and they put them at the forefront of the game. They make sure they're in certain spots and ads. They make sure they're in primetime game slots. But because of social media and because of the advancement of technology, people now have more access than they ever have. For many years in the NBA, all you really saw were the 3 or 4 guys that the NBA wanted you to see. And so because of that, we became we were force-fed superstars. And I think now even a guy like LaMelo Ball can be considered by some a bigger superstar than a player like Damian Lillard, not because of his game necessarily, but because LaMelo Ball just has a rabid fan base who cares about him, not just on the court, but off it as well. And we live in a brand-centric society right now where people are so much more enthralled with the entire package as opposed to what goes on the court. And so because of that, I don't think these leagues are any longer in control of who is going to become a superstar or not.
And Juju has all of the makings of a superstar. Like, she has the documentary, she has the sponsorships, she plays, for a storied program like USC. She has the famous, the stars, the celebrities coming out to see her. So it's just, I don't know. It's just
people. You know what? Also,
what?
She's too clean.
Ooh.
And people do not respond to clean and positive things the way they respond to negative things and demonstrative behavior. It's just a thing, right? Like, nobody wants the clean athlete anymore. People want to see flaws. They don't want to see perfection. And so Juju, because she is so seemingly like reserved, and I'm sure behind closed doors in her immediate circle, like, she's probably a little bit more gregarious and personable. But the way in which she presents is very much how like Carmelo Anthony used to present himself in the NBA. And Carmelo Anthony's stardom had a ceiling on it. He could never match what LeBron James and Steph Curry ultimately evolved into because he was so cool. And cool is actually corny these days. It's like, I don't know if you've seen the remake of 21 Jump Street where like Channing Tatum goes to the high school and back in the day, his cool was considered cool, but now his cool is like his ass. And I think for Juju, man, she's gonna have to really, really open up and be light. You got to be light energy in these times because the world is so heavy on so many people. She's gonna have to be light in order to attract a wider fan base because her game is fantastic.
Yeah, and I think that kind of goes back to what we talked about last week. And I think that a lot of our viewers didn't like what I had to say about this story arc between Caitlyn and Angel. But that, I think that was another element of Caitlyn's personality in her game that people liked. It was like, she does come off very clean cut, but when she's on the floor, she's going to talk trash, right? Like, she's going to get in people's face a little bit. And I think that's, like, even like I said, like I thought that a very pivotal moment, and I didn't necessarily follow Caitlyn as far or as long as some of her fans did, but I think that pivotal moment in that national championship game really that was like, I don't know, defining moment, I felt like. And people may not think that, but I think that like that moment between her and Angel was like, okay.
You're 1,000% right because we live in a storytelling society right now, and in any story you need a protagonist and an antagonist. And so, it would bode Juju really well to have an antagonist, somebody that she goes back and forth with. I would love to see her and Flau'jae actually get into a little bit of. I think that would be incredible for everyone to see. Just like in the NBA, I want to see Ja Morant and Anthony Edwards dislike each other. Not like in a real meaningful way, but when they're on the court. I think that those kinds of things create storylines that fans are enticed to want to see and to tap into. You don't want to miss it. But
do it right. Don't do it like Dylan Brooks, though.
No, you know what? I'm not mad. If you want to go to extreme like that, I'm with it. I just think you have to be a better basketball player than Dylan Brooks in order for it to matter. You just have to, you just got to be somebody that other people respect, whose game other people respect. You have to be somebody that your peers and fans regard you as cold. Like, I would love to see, like, I love the Kyrie Steph Curry thing. It's a thing. I don't know if you see it, but when Steph and Kyrie play against each other, it's a different level of energy for both of them. So these are my thoughts. Those are my feelings and sentiments. But I want to hear what our Fumble family has to say about this. Are the days of sports leagues creating superstars a way of the past? And is it now just the sole responsibility of fans to elect who they want as the future superstars of any sports league? Y'all let us know your thoughts on the comments section below.
All right, this weekend, one celebration took the sports world by storm. It was the Trump dance. It was all over the NFL, specifically from Nick Bosa to Calvin Ridley to a few players on the Lions defense. Now, the league has come out and announced that the Trump dance celebration is free game and not punishable by a fine. So essentially, you can speak about politics and dance like a political candidate, but you cannot wear their paraphernalia. Rodney, what were your thoughts on this?
I don't know if you're emulating Donald Trump's dance moves. That's your choice, Bucko. I don't know. I don't really have thoughts on this so much on the dancing component. I do find it interesting that depending on where you fall politically, you don't have a problem with players and people expressing their political affiliations in sports when it's in alignment with how you see the world. And so that's the only thing that I would complain about, is that there was a huge movement to remove all politics from sports not too long ago. It was shut up and dribble, it was all of these things. And now I just don't hear any of that.
Yeah, and I feel like it's just kind of a slap in the face when you can dance or you can wear a hat or any, like I said, paraphernalia, and you're not speaking about it, right? Because I just feel there's so many eyeballs on it. Yeah. And so there's a lot of like impressionable people that are watching, and they need to hear it from you. If we need to know if you actually know what you're talking about. But I would rather hear your argument or why you have decided to do that, and not just, I thought it was cool, because I think we got to be more than that. We got to be more than that. Because I feel like some of these guys, I'm like,
I don't care. Like, I watched
you don't care about what
I don't care about
yeah, I saw that. Okay.
I watched, the UFC fight, UFC 309, I believe it was, and John Jones, after he won, he gave it to Donald Trump. And it's like, all right, cool. Like, there's a part of me that, I'm not a Trump supporter, but there's a part of me that was like, ugh, that's nasty. But also, like, that's his decision. He can do whatever he wants to do. I can't be so reactionary to where people's political allyship falls. That has no it has bearings on me, but there's nothing I can do about it. Like, that is our president-elect. I hope he does a great job. And if John Jones wants to be a part of that world, a part of that circle, then that gesture is going to take him a long way, I'm sure. He may need a future pardon. He's already been to prison one time. So, we have to understand that a lot of these things that we're seeing are very strategic. Like, a lot of these things, people are making sure they're aligned and in affiliation with certain energy and entities, because maybe they want to make sure they have a get out of jail free card, literally.
Okay. All right. Well,
it's deeper than rap. It gets deeper than rap out here. I'm not mad at dancing. Let me also say this.
Okay.
Donald Trump is one of the funniest people unintentionally that God ever created. And there are times in which me and my group chat, we will watch for minutes on end countless footage of him being so unintentionally funny. He is incredible. He is incredibly entertaining. I really find, he's my internet like sensation that I go to when I need a smile on my face. Which is crazy, because he's also the president of the United States. So I don't know if it's like that, but that's what it is. Like, I literally will send Donald Trump videos to my group chat, and we will die laughing. If he was trying to be the greatest comedian ever, I'd be on board. I'd be the biggest fan in the world. As a politician, I'm not, really so sold, but I got to give credit where it's due, man. That dude is highly entertaining. Highly entertaining.
All right. Well, you all let us know down in the comments. What do you make of athletes in particular? Do you think that the Trump dance is a political statement, or is it just a funny celebration? All right. Today, we've got a very special guest joining us. He's a former #1 NBA draft pick, first team All-American at Ohio State, and a player who's left his mark both on and off the court. These days, he's focused on giving back and shaping the next generation. Y'all give a big welcome to the one and only Greg Oden. What's up, cousin?
Hey,
how y'all doing?
What's up, man? Having me. No, we appreciate you being here. It's an honor for me, man. I don't think, maybe you do know, brother. You special. You're special. And it don't have anything to do with basketball, which is ironic for me. Just, from a distance, watching your evolution, you overcoming all the trials and tribulations of your life, you being outspoken about some of the things you've experienced, you taking accountability for things that maybe have not gone the right way. I'm just a fan of the man, yo. So this is truly an honor for me, bro.
I appreciate that. That was some great words, and thank you for the introduction. I really do. I've been through some things, and I'm happy to be on this side of it, and I got a beautiful family, and just thinking better, thinking positive. I'm happy, so I really do appreciate that.
Yeah, we see you got family, you got your daughter's drawings behind you, you got unicorns, hearts, pink. We see the vibes, my man. You living a healthy life.
This is what happens when you got an 8-year-old and she take over your workspace. So
hey,
I got listen,
cherish it, all right? Because when it's gone, it is gone. Let me just tell you that. So we know that you've been through hardship. I care about it because it's a part of your story, but I don't care about talking about it right now. I want to revisit the happier times in your life. What was the happiest moment in your career, man?
Well, the happiest moment has to be draft night. I mean, it was very busy. It was a lot going on that day, but with my name called, it changed my life. It changed my whole entire family's lives. And it was just nice to be recognized for the work that I have put in since I was a kid.
Now, we talked a lot about NIL on this platform. Going back or looking back, how much money do you think that you would have made at Ohio State in that one season?
$5 million easy. Nah, I'm kidding.
No, you probably right.
I think right now Hunter Dickinson is like kind of the highest paid, around $2 million. So I'll say it has to be mid $3 million, 3.5 at that time.
Yo, respectfully, if Hunter Dickinson is getting $2 million, you would have made $6 million. You have to stop. You gotta stop being humble.
Hey, I got to. I respect this game. I do. Respect to the big man.
This year's #1 overall draft pick, Zachary Ricochet, is living completely under the radar. He is like super anonymous. I've never seen a situation quite like this where #1 overall draft pick has no notoriety. Nobody even knows what he really looks like. I might have just mispronounced his name. How is it possible that the #1 overall draft pick is still such an unknown?
It's actually baffling to me, to be honest with you. Because, I started to look up some of his stuff and I was like, but I watched NBA Game Time like every night. I watch SportsCenter every night and nobody's talking about this kid. And honestly, I don't know if you did say his last name right. I just know I'm not going to try it. But I will say this, it's only like 80 of us in this fraternity and #1 draft pick. So can't nobody ever take that away from him. And like I said with Scoop, and like I said with Bronny, if the organization believes in him, they're giving him a chance and giving him the opportunity to grow in their own way. That's all he has to do is stay a kid, which we all are when we come in. Give us a couple of years to develop. We don't come in knowing everything. Everybody's not LeBron James. Right. So that's why I again say, we got to commend on what he's doing, coming with those expectations to live up to him and not take a step back through all these years. That's really unheard of. It doesn't happen for a lot of us. So for him, while he's down there and he's playing, just keep on playing. Just keep on growing, taking it in, learning everything you can and getting better each day. And hopefully one day we're talking about him a lot more.
Well, is there any part of you, though, that wishes you could have had a little more anonymity?
Well, there's a part of me that would wish I was in Atlanta because I'm not going to lie. So, I remember just getting drafted to Portland, and then, a couple of years later, I'm looking at Al Horford, who that year got drafted to Atlanta, and the Sierra video. Oh, and I used to hate on him every time.
Yo, Greg, I've seen you talk about your life and your history. I don't know if Atlanta would have been the right city for you during that time.
But we wouldn't have known. Why not give me a shot?
It's a lot of strip clubs in Portland, though. Sorry, Samaria, go ahead.
It is, actually.
Is
yes,
it?
It is. It
has more strip clubs per square mile than any city in America.
Are you serious?
That's a fact. Strip club capital of America.
Now, how many, Rodney, have you been to?
They don't have my kind of talent.
Oh,
Well, Look, I'm quiet over here. Look, I'm not saying anything.
As you made reference to earlier, you know, where you're drafted will have a huge impact on the kind of career that you have, right?
Yes.
And so when I look at Philadelphia, you just mentioned Joel Embiid, there has to be a part of you who sees him and says, man, that was kind of my game low key. Maybe not all the way out to three, but you had a phenomenal mid-range touch, you know, being so big, being a rim protector. His versatility is something that I feel like you would have inevitably developed into. But there is this thing about Joel, especially right now in the media cycle, where people are starting to wonder and question whether or not he's the kind of guy who can lead a franchise to a championship. If Joel Embiid never changes ever a thing about himself or his game, do you feel like he is capable of carrying the Sixers to a chip?
No, if he never changes, no. If he doesn't change his game, if he doesn't change the way he handles stuff off the court, his professionalism with his team and his teammates, and just getting a more I need to be out there attitude, I don't think he's going to be able to win a championship, but I also believe he can change. And if he's healthy, I think he can lead an organization to a championship. You can't deny his talent. You can't deny the impact he has on both ends of the floor and just the larger-than-life persona and personality that he is. I think he can. He just has to be healthy, and he has to take it seriously, and he has to want it.
So you do see a little bit of, and I'm not trying to put you in a position to talk negatively about him, but do you see a little bit of immaturity, or what's the thing that you see that you're like, man, like he should tighten that up a little bit?
I think he was given so much leeway coming in. You know, they made this big investment into a kid that was only playing, 3 or 4 years before, you know, he got drafted with that pick. And, you know, he was so young and he was still injured. So there was a lot more leeway on that sense of it as well. But also knowing that, like, look, for a year or two, they was talking about this guy that's never even been on the court yet that's going to lead this franchise to the promised land. You know, how much, like, giving him the keys to the kingdom. And so what do you think he's going to do with it? He's going to take all that. And then he's performing and showing, like, look, I'm the most dominant player when I am out there. How much more leeway he going to get? So, you know, it's kind of hard to reel that back in. But I think for him, it's just going to be the mindset that he wants that championship. And then things are going to start changing because they do have talent around him right now. And honestly, I hope PG can stay healthy enough to add to that because I think he's one of the top scorers in the league when he is healthy.
I love it. Well, Greg, thank you so much for coming on with us. Like, this has been so insightful, and I've enjoyed it.
Well, thank you. I really do appreciate you guys having me, getting me on you all's platform. This is awesome. I really appreciate the conversation.
Thank you, bro. Thank you so much. I hope you have a beautiful, wonderful day and that your daughter paints on the walls and you get mad.
Hey, happy early Turkey Day to you all. So have a good one.
My salary when I was working at Verizon at the age of 22 years old was more than Angel Reese's salary of $73,000 in her rookie season in the WNBA. The league is paying its players peanuts compared to other professional sports leagues. And when your product, the players, have to go to places like Russia to get an adequate compensation, to me, that means your business is failing. And now we're starting to see new entities like the brand new Unrivaled Basketball League popping up. Some of the most popular players from the W are getting paid $1 million to hoop in a new 6-team 3-on-3 league, which I find to be absolutely lit. But there's a bigger fix here. Why aren't athletes and entertainers pulling their money together to create a direct competitor of the WNBA? Why are so many people waiting for the system to get it right and do right by these women instead of simply creating an entirely new system? One that is going to have incredible amounts of ROI. The growth of the women's game is inevitable. We see it. There is enough capital between top tier athletes to fund a league of their own for these women. Ownership, true ownership, can be so much more robust than having 2% of a franchise. You can be a league founder and help reshape the entirety of the sports landscape forever and impact women. So why not do that? Why not be the change while making a strategic business move? Why not figure out a way to create the thing you want to see exist? The resources are there at this stage of life. It's just going to take one disruptor to do it, and the rest will hop on the bandwagon. We know how this goes because honestly, there is no way that Angel Reese should be getting paid as much as a college dropout handling inbound calls in the cubicle. So my fumble of the week goes to a system that is currently failing women hoopers. It is absolutely time to get them paid. Samaria, is it in the realm of possibility for someone to swoop in and create a rival league for the W?
I mean, if they do, it's going to be very challenging because you're going to have to play during the same time. You're going to have to get majority of these women to make the switch. And I think that sometimes when you're the first at something, it's difficult. Like nobody wants to take that first leap. And I think that's kind of what we're seeing now. I guess my question to you is, do you feel like any of the leagues that's out right now, you said Unrivaled, and then also Athletes Unlimited, I was covering them in Nashville. That's I think where they're doing their championship. Do you feel like any of these leagues could actually make that jump, or do you think it needs to be a completely brand new entity?
So I have a problem sometimes when there's all these like things that pop up that are super individualized, and I recognize it's a
Yeah.
company, but like those two entities should actually be working together to create a. And so because people don't necessarily like to work with people who maybe they don't know, or maybe that will take away some of the credit and shine, it creates moments like these. Like there, it doesn't make sense why there should be two new pop-up leagues instead of collaborating on one and getting having more teams, right? Incorporating more players, because the new Unrivaled League is 6 teams, 3-on-3 basketball. It should be a full 5-on-5 game,
Yeah.
right? Like that's just what it should be, flat out. I would hope that the WNBA figures out a way to get these players paid more. But I'm watching in real time male high school athletes make more money than female professional athletes. The OTE league is a phenomenal structure that we can look at and say, all right, there's something here, right? Those kids are getting paid more money than Angel Reese to play high school basketball. So the solve exists. I just think the right people have to get behind it. And I think getting in early on the ground floor is going to be greatly beneficial for somebody out there who's willing to take the risk.
I think another big point is the NBA and their affiliation, obviously, to the W. Would the NBA jump ship?
Yeah, I doubt that. I think that they're
Okay.
too tied in together, right? I mean, it's
Yeah.
the WNBA after all, so you'd
Right.
be hard
This.
pressed to
Yeah.
not abandon that. But one of the things that when I've thrown this concept out there before is that from an arena standpoint, there's not enough real estate to warrant having these. I was talking about the NBA when I brought it up in the past, but they would say that to have an arena and to get arena, and land is a really challenging thing, right? It's the real estate component that made it challenging for it to happen in the NBA. But in the WNBA, a lot of their games are not even played in NBA arenas, right?
Yeah.
You take a look at a team like the Mystics, and they're playing in basically a practice facility. So I think that there are smaller venues that could be a lot more accommodating than having to have a full-scale NBA-sized arena for another rival basketball league. And if the real estate exists and you can contractually, have cities and markets that have somewhat of an infrastructure for a professional sports league in a smaller venue, then I think you do that. I think you take the big three formula as well. Like there's something out there. It exists. It's permeating and percolating, and I can feel it. But I just think for whatever reason, somebody's a little bit apprehensive about pulling the trigger.
Yeah, and I think that we, the media, also need to do our due diligence, because I remember when I was just in Nashville and we had, like I said, Athletes Unlimited come and do their championship. I think the season is going on right now, I believe. And I remember talking to a coworker and I'm like, hey, like, I want to cover this. Like, it's not just, women that didn't play, or maybe they were overseas and now they came back. I was like, you actually have women from the WNBA playing in this league, so we should cover this. And they were like, don't nobody care about that. So, I think we too have to put it out there as well, and go to events and cover games and cover practices and all of the things as well. Because we can get the women there, but the media has to do a good job at covering it as well.
Right. Yeah. And my last point is, the WNBA is unique in that all the best women's players in the world are not necessarily playing in the WNBA because
Right.
the
Well,
salary
that's
is
true.
low.
Yeah.
So, there is a large swath of women hoopers overseas who do not play in the WNBA who are cold.
Mm-hmm.
So you also then have a whole nother pool of players to pull from, and you
Yeah.
can really make an impact on a global scale if you're able to create a centralized location for
Mm.
women to feel like they are adequately being compensated and respected,
Yeah.
because the fans are there, the viewership is there, the opportunity exists. But with that
Yeah.
said, you all let us know your thoughts on my fumble of the week. Do you feel like the infrastructures that are currently in existence are failing women basketball players by not paying them adequate salaries? Y'all let us know your thoughts in the comments section below.
All right, that's all for this week. Thank you for joining us for another episode of The Fumble. Make sure to subscribe to The Fumble and at The Fumble Sports on all of our social media platforms. We deliver the latest in sports every day on our YouTube page with Jackie Ray, and then every Friday right here at The Fumble with myself, Samaria Terry, and my co-host, Rodney Rikai.
Happy Thanksgiving. I wish you all immunity from Samaria's cooking. Hopefully it does not mess your stomach up. Get you some Imodium AD, some Pepto-Bismol on deck if you got to deal with her mac and cheese. Okay? Thank you very much. Thank you.
And everybody find something to be grateful about during this time. There's so much.
Oh, you want to end it on a positive note. Say it again.
Find something to be grateful for.
Yeah, love yours. Love your family.
Yes.
Love your tribe. Love your sweater. You feel me? Until next time.